All right, so we got the New Balance 442 Professional, or the Pros, if you will. So you have the 442 Pros and then the 442 Teams. The difference between the two is the one is kangaroo leather. So since this is the Pro model, the Pros are going to have the kangaroo leather that comes right through here. The Teams just have the calf leather. I don't want to say just have them, but Team has the calf leather, and then the Pros have the kangaroo. So whichever one you prefer, if you like the kangaroo feeling or if you like the calf skin, that's the difference between the two. The Pros do run a little bit more because I imagine the kangaroo leather perhaps cost more, which is why. So got the 442s because they were on sale, and I've never had a New Balance boot, so I pretty much kind of got this New Balance boot and that New Balance boot on sale. So I figured, well, why not? I wasn't playing soccer or football for quite some time, so I was like, well, I'm gonna kind of get back into it. I played collegiately and whatnot, and then kind of just got into other things, and now I guess I'm kind of getting back into playing. So I wanted to kind of pick up some boots. So I've been kind of seeing which ones I would like. I used to play in the Diodoras, the Francisco Totti ones. So that's kind of like where I set the standard at. However, they don't make those boots any longer, so it's not like I can just go get the same pair. And I wore the same pair for so long that to the point where like that's the only boot that you want. So it's like, man, if I wish I bought 2 or 3 at the time. And then I would still have those ones. So just wanted to kind of pick up some boots and kind of get back out there. So I was like, well, let me just find something that's relatively cheap, just to kind of get me back out there. So since the New Balances were cheap, it's a leather boot. So since I came from the Diodoras, I figured, well, why not try these? This would be a good way to get kind of back into it. Nothing flashy, nothing crazy, just a plain leather boot. So I got these, and when you're kind of looking at the pictures and whatnot, the blue ones were the cheapest, and I guess I wasn't really too fond of going, say, with a full blue boot or whatnot. Not that really color matters, but I guess I've never owned a full, just all blue boot, So I was just like, well, I don't know if I would like it, but once I get it and I see it, the blue is nice. It's a nice color. I really got over it rather quickly. The blue and white are really nice together. So when you look at pictures, like, man, I don't know. The all green ones I thought looked pretty cool though. I probably would have gone with those. I don't know. I just like green, I guess. But these are cool too. The once you get them and you're looking at this blue and you put them on your feet, they look really nice. So the aspect of them, they're fine. The blue's cool. It looks really nice. That nice white New Balance stripe back here. For some reason, I don't know why, but I just like the way that looks. The Teams have a different aspect. This inside is like white. I think the inside is all white with perhaps just the New Balance, but the Teams I like the way the Teams look a little bit better. So I think they should switch with the Pros to have the nice white back right here. Anyway, a nice little bit. I don't know why I thought it was cool, so just liked it. This is the bottom of the boot. So just these round studs here. I've actually never played on round studs. Okay, so all the boots that I've had, like the Tottis and whatnot, they actually had more or less the chevron style, studs. I guess I'm lying when I say never. When you're a kid and stuff, you play on them until you maybe get a little bit older and you kind of get a sense to like, hey, I'm gonna buy a boot that I really like versus just hey, here, wear these boots that you bought that you don't really know what you're buying because you're so young. But when you start kind of feeling what boots feel like and really kind of understanding, hey, this is what I want it to be, I've always was using the more the chevron bladed style studs. So these are the round ones, like is it the Tiempos and whatnot that have these rounded studs. So I imagine that's probably where this is kind of getting that idea from. So if you're in the market for a leather boot with the round studs and whatnot, that's kind of where this is kind of, I guess, focused on. I guess if I could say would I have bought this boot, unfortunately, I'm gonna say I would so I didn't get a chance to try this boot on, and that's why I wouldn't buy it. Well, I guess I'll give 2 reasons why I wouldn't buy it, and it's only fit. It's only because of the way my foot's shaped. It's not nothing to do with that this boot is bad by any means. It's a really good boot. I mean, the quality is nice. You know what I'm saying? So I guess we'll start there. The kangaroo leather. I mean, it's soft. All kangaroo leather will become soft, so that's fine. Back here, I want to say it's like a synthetic. It feels like leather. I don't think it's for sure not kangaroo. I think only right here, because on this side there's this stamp, which indicates that, hey, this piece is leather. So I imagine that just this piece, the toe box, I suppose, is going to be that kangaroo leather, where this is going to be all like a synthetic leather and some sort of syntheticness kind of going through there. Okay, so when it comes to that aspect, it's well built, well designed. No issues there. This tongue here there's like some little bit of padding all through kind of here. When you tighten them down, the laces are nice. It's I guess it's kind of hard. It's this kind of there's this texture to it, right? It's not like that thick cotton type of laces. It's the I don't know, neoprene. I don't want to say neoprene because neoprene's stretchy, but it's this fabric that's I guess the texture. It's kind of hard to say, like that shiny. I guess the shiny style laces. I imagine you kind of know what I'm talking about when I say shiny and slick. So you put them on, there isn't any sort of like pinching going on because the tongue has these padding going on here, right? I think I did kind of notice that when I was kind of moving, that the tongue perhaps maybe just moved ever so slightly, So, I wasn't really paying attention to it, and it just might have been just that one time that I noticed it, and then it never did it again. But I do remember saying, oh, that's weird, and kind of moving the tongue and re-tighten it, because that feeling of the tongue moving just slightly, I hate that feeling, when it kind of moves. But I think that only happened once, so I don't think that would be an issue, because I never noticed that after that first time that I adjusted it. So it could have been my fault. The inside here is a slick material, a slick synthetic, and it's extremely, grippy. If it's wet, if it's wet, it would be like slick, right? So I guess that's the texture that I'm trying to, if you can kind of imagine that texture when it got water, it was really slick, but it doesn't mean that like if you're sweating, it necessarily going to be slick on your foot. It's just like that material, if you kind of, I guess, know what I mean. But it's a slick, rubbery kind of aspect to it, right? That seems like if it was wet, you wouldn't have an issue with it sliding. It's just that I guess that kind of sense. This right here, I guess, is pretty nice. I mean, New Balance, their walking shoes or running shoes are awesome. I own a pair of made in the USA New Balances, which are super comfortable and just, amazing. So that's kind of why I wanted to try the New Balance football boots out, because I have a New Balance shoe, walking shoe, running, whatever. That's just extremely, extremely comfortable. And the made in the USA stuff is awesome. This right here, I want to say out of all the these that I have, these insoles are probably the thickest ones on the 442s. So imagine if you're really going for that comfort, the comfortness, these 442 Pros, these are quite thick. So if you like that, yeah, these are impressive when it comes to that padding and how thick they are. So New Balance is kind of known for that, right? So that in that aspect, they probably have everything kind of perfect there. So that that feeling is fantastic. Everything else, it's fine. So I guess we should get on to like why if I put these on before I bought them, because I ordered them online. So if I put them on and kind of moved around and I guess had like a day to train in them, would I have bought these? And I would not have. So I guess if I, I mean, these are a size 10, which I wear a size 10, and all these are size 10s, but practically in every single one of these boots, I have almost like from here to my toe, I could pretty much put like my thumb right here, and that's the amount of space I have, right? So you might think, okay, we'll just you should get a 9.5. Though that doesn't work for me because every 9.5 size boot that I've owned was way too tight. So I would say I'm more of a 9 3/4, but they don't make a 9 3/4, unfortunately. But with this one, even though it's a 10, my toe is just, like the tip of my thumb is pretty much all the room that I have. So it's extremely tight, which I imagine it'll loosen up in a time. So the very first time I wore it, it was super tight. I got some really bad blisters, and I wore them, and I kept trying to break these in. I'd wear them around the house. I would flex them, and they loosened up a bit. I could wear them longer. Every time I wore them for training, I could wear them longer. I could wear them a little bit longer. Before that sensation where like, oh man, if I don't take these boots off now, I'm gonna have these blisters. And even if I wear my normal boots, I'm gonna have blisters and they're gonna kill me, right? So you get to that point where these blisters are there, but if you switch boots quickly, they'll go away or you'll be fine. So yeah, that aspect lasted longer and longer. However, it just doesn't seem like these have just stretched enough to be comfortable, because they're still so tight that I don't need to tighten these up. Really, my foot will just fit in them. You just obviously your heel lockdown just really isn't there. So if I don't tie these that tight and it feels better on my foot, but it's just literally the heel lockdown. So the sizing, this just may be a one-off, but this they do make this in the wide variation, but I've never needed to buy the wide version. Like this New Balance is a 10 and it fits me fine. I wouldn't need a wide in here, but this one I feel like I would need a wide version for this particular 442, whereas opposed if you had a narrow foot, this would be fine, right? Even though I got a little bit of room in the toe box, or maybe potentially not, any, the how my foot is, like say where my pinky is and my big toe meets my foot, I got these balls right here, and then I got a higher than normal arch, I want to say, with like a nice ball on that too. So I have these certain pressure points, right? And then my big toe as well. So on all my all my Diodoras, I would have where my big toe, you would see like this lump there, right? And as well as all my boots would get worn out, right here on, I don't know what that's called, on your big toe, where that big bone that sticks out. So this has a sensation where it's just so tight there that if I didn't have those, this boot would probably be almost perfect when it comes to fit and size, because it does have a really nice tightness feel, but just for me too tight. So this would probably be good for a narrow foot, probably even a 9.5 size if you are more, say, on the wider foot aspect. I bet you if I was a 9.5, I wouldn't have that same issue here. But this could be a one-off, and maybe that's why it was on sale, because everybody who had a 10 tried it on and said, oh, this doesn't fit. That could be the case. However, another aspect, and this is probably why I can't wear this boot, so I'm not going to give it any more tries, because the foot thing, this top bit I could get over. I imagine it would stretch to the point where I would get used to it and it would be fine, right? So it would be tight like how these Nikes, the Venoms are. That's a super tight boot, but tight in a good way. I think these would get tight in a good way after some more uses. However, I cannot play in these, and the reason why is where these studs are located, right? So I'm more of an outside foot walker, you could say. So when I'm planting my foot, you know, a lot of weight is on the outside of my foot at first. So the issue with these here, and you know, I've never had it with any other boots, but these studs for me, and this is only because of the way my foot's shaped. You know, those parts where I was telling you about how it kind of they're a little bit wide. So it's not my whole foot's wide. It's just, you know, right here where it's just out, right? But everything else is normal. So when I'm wearing them, you know, like the leather is on the, it looks like that, right? So it's like my fat of my foot is kind of going over the boots like that. Well, what happens here is that these studs, even though these are placed on the outside, the way my foot is shaped, these don't feel like I'm landing on the outside, like they're lined up on the outside of my foot. It feels like if you're like these studs, and if you're thinking, okay, where are the pressure points at? This right here feels like it's a little on the, like a bit, right in the, almost the middle of my foot per se, right? So when I'm landing, these studs they don't feel like they're supporting me on the outside. They have this, feel like they're right here, right? And they're probably just like millimeters, just, you know, too far in, where the sensation feels like it's like right in the middle, right? Which is not the case, but because the way my foot's shaped, it's not, you know, I don't have any trust in the boot because it just feels like where I'm running and cutting, that because it's on the inside of the foot, it's just a weird sensation to have, you know, just feel like if these weren't even here, and then it's just right here in the middle, it has that when you plant, like it's just this weird feeling, you know, like it's going to roll. Not in a twist my ankle sense, but just like a, you know, wow, that's just weird that it just feels like it's going down through the middle of my foot. And I'm going to say that's probably because the reason why my foot's shaped. However, you know, say if we go to these, actually those are probably kind of hard to see. Let's just go with the Nikes here. Let me get the same left foot here, right? Yeah, okay. Or right foot. So these, you know, these studs, kind of, I guess how they're shaped, but even where they're placed, when I'm stepping, it feels like they're on the outside of my foot, if that makes sense. Yeah. So the inside of my foot feels like it's being supported, or sorry, the outside of my foot when I'm stepping feels like it's being supported by these studs, right? Whereas when I'm stepping on this one, I feel like the outside of my foot's not being supported, and I just have this, you know, what's that? Like a hockey skate, right? A hockey or ice skate feeling. You know, when you have the pressure and it's only like coming up like the middle of your foot. That's like the sensation that I get. The only way that I could explain it, and I do not like it at all. So that is why I can't play in these boots any longer, because of that feeling. So, you know, it's not a bad boot per se. I imagine, you know, if you maybe are wider foot and you've had this weird sensation before where these studs kind of had a feeling that, hey, maybe they're too far in, these will do that, because I've never had a boot feel like that before, except for this. Any of the boot I've ever worn, these studs felt like they were, you know, out further than being supported on the outside of my foot. So that's the only thing I could complain about. Other than that, I mean, the quality, the sole here, I mean, I've never felt something like this before, but it's almost like a gummy feeling, you know, like it's just strange because it's almost like I can, like, you know, you see that, like I can kind of push that in. Right here it's all solid, through here it's solid, so I imagine, like, if you look at like how easy that is to move, that bit's rather impressive, I would say. Like, it's, you know, there's no like spring back, which all these shoes, you know, speed boots, like, oh man, it snaps back, which is silly. But this, you know, nice good support through here. I didn't have any issues with these heel studs. Fine through here, nice support. But yeah, so like this is like gummy. So it does, maybe that's why it feels like it's on the inside of my foot. because this is more soft and gummy, that like it does conform to your foot in that aspect, but perhaps maybe I've never used them, or I'm so used to such a stiff sole from like the Diodoras and whatnot that it maybe gives me that sensation. But if you, I guess, have boots before that this was really soft and it kind of conforms to your foot, it's perhaps you would like it, because I mean it moves freely. And it feels like wherever you're stepping, you know, these studs are, you know, so like it feels like the bottom of your foot. So perhaps that, you know, if you've had those boots before, maybe you would like that. However, with my foot style, my foot shape, and all the boots that I've worn, I cannot wear this. And I can't recommend it to anybody, I guess, who does have wide feet, or, you know, have that sensation of the studs. But I mean, no one really has said that. So when I look at reviews on this one, no one's ever said anything like that. But for me, I get that. So hopefully it's not maybe a dysfunctional boot, that maybe that's why they were trying to get rid of it. I want to say that's not the case. However, so just something to think about, you know. It was tight for me. So a narrow, maybe 9.5 if you wore a 10. That would be my recommendation. However, it's not a bad boot in the way it's designed and the quality. So I don't want to say New Balance is bad in that aspect. I think it's a well-made boot, and there's no problems there. For weight in grams, if someone was kind of wanting to know, this right here is 257 grams. So if you think that's heavy or not heavy, or you wanted to know, that's the weight of the boot. But it doesn't feel heavy when it's on your foot, and 250 grams, I mean, that's really nothing, to be honest with you. You know, especially when you were playing, you know, way back in the day, you know what I'm saying? This would be considered a lightweight boot at that time, I imagine. So anyway, that's the New Balance 442 Pros, and I hope that helps you guys. All right, thank you.